almost there. No way. What is this? You're tuned in to the Eyes Open podcast, where secrets aren't safe and we see it all.
Well, today we celebrate an extra special milestone on the Eyes Open podcast, and I'm so happy about it. I had to break out my favorite celebratory hat, the alien kitty. So if I'm wearing this hat, it's definitely a special occasion. But I want to start out by telling everybody I want to give a huge round of applause to all the fans out there. And the reason I want to give you guys a huge round of applause is because without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are right now on episode 200. And I mean, it really is the truth, because I've been doing this show now for, in September, it'll be 7 years that I've been doing this show. It really started to take off in the last, since last September is when it really started to take off. I started to film the episodes more regularly, because before I was, first episode was in 2019, and then I did episodes here and there, but there was no strict schedule to it until everything kind of just took off. But I wanted to give a big round of applause to all of my fans out there. All the messages I get from you guys is what keeps the show going. It keeps me going. I really enjoy all the fan mail you guys send me, and for all the people that actually do watch the show. And I understand for some people, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I run a podcast. There's not many podcasts I listen to. I used to listen to, like, back in the day, I'd listen to maybe Rogan, or I'll catch a few podcasts here and there now. But it's more like, I understand it's more reels. People are more interested in watching short form content. So, I get it. I understand. But there's a lot of you out there that enjoy watching, the full 20 something minute episodes. Maybe I'll run an hour exclusive episode or something. But for the most part, it's no longer than 30 minutes. And I don't know, like, I do lives that are about an hour long, but I just don't really, unless maybe this is a special show like this, I'll go a little bit longer maybe, but I don't really time my episodes. I never really have. It's kind of like when I say what needs to be said, then we end the show. You know what I mean? And I just don't, and I don't know how some of these podcasts, man, they go on for like 4 hours and stuff. And, maybe, I don't even know, like, you could get probably some of the best guests on my show, and I still don't know if I can go that long. One of the longest ones I did was, and see, like I said, it just depends on who you're talking to, because I did one with, Tommy Truthful was one of the longer ones. Me and him were on for like, it was over 2 hours. And then I did an interview with, who was it? I forget who it was, but there was an interview that went around 2 hours. And I remember I had to put it into 2 pieces. But anyway, we are on episode 200. I consider that a big milestone, because like I said, when I started the show, I just wanted to make a fun show. I figured, I do an episode here and there. I never really seen myself doing the show, every other day, or at one point I was doing it every day. And that got to be, just too much. It's even too much for the viewers. Because I even noticed some people, now when the following gets bigger, and people really are watching all the time, shit, I would do, an episode every day. I would have no problem getting in here and doing an episode every single day. But just for now, it seems like I speak to some people that are like, oh yeah, I got to catch up on, your last episode. When I was doing them every day, it seemed like it was a little more for people to keep up with getting to see the episodes every day. So, I found a good balance for myself, which is every other day, which I think is fair. You're doing, 3 episodes a week or so. So, I mean, for me, and I'm sure for the fans out there, every other day seems reasonable. So for the time being, I figure I'll keep it that way. And I mean, look at where we're at. I know some podcasts that they do like every week or something. And I mean, they're still, way below the 200th episode. So that's why, and honestly, with every 100th episode, I want to do this type of episode where it's going to be the top 10 greatest moments up until that point that I can remember. Now, for the people that have been here, so I'm going to start here. For the people that have been here for a long time, they know that really the episode started to jump off and the follower count started to explode really was when I did the Charlie Kirk stuff. So it was right after, because I remember I did a 6-year anniversary special last year, and I believe it's September 6th, if I remember correctly. I can't remember what day it fell on. But yeah, it's someday in September is when I started the podcast back in 2019. So this year, obviously, I'll do the 7-year, and that's cool. Lucky number 7. So 7 years. It'll be 7 years that the Eyes Open podcast page has been around. I've been posting, even if it wasn't an episode, I'd be, posting different stuff on here multiple times a day, at least one time a day. So, I'm at what, 2.3 thousand posts, 7 years in. So it's not too bad. There was just times when I wasn't able to post sometimes for maybe a week, or, there's intervals here and there. Stuff happens in life. So if I was moving the way I am now, we'd probably be up a lot higher. But like now it's how would you say? It's more of a rhythm and motion I have down now. So it seems more structured. I'm guaranteed to put content out every single day. And, pretty much for the people that haven't picked up on it yet, with my content, the way I do it is I like to keep you guys entertained throughout the day. So I usually post like morning, afternoon, morning, noon, afternoon, night. So I post like 4 times a day. I try to keep it that way so, you guys will stay entertained throughout the day. But we're going to dive right into this episode because it's going to be a lot of fun to go over the older moments and some of my favorite moments on the show. When I was getting clips of the show together for this episode, it was interesting watching the progression of the show. Just in, the way I talked even. It's wild to see where the show has come, this far. And I have much love for all you guys out there. I really enjoy doing this, or I'm telling you, I would not be doing it. But I want to thank all you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode because I had fun putting it together. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start off this way. Because the show centers around interviews, the biggest thing is when the show gets bigger and down the road and bigger guests start to come on the show, you'll see that the show is going to be centered a lot around interviews. And that's what I want it to be around is a lot of interviews. I want to do a lot of interviews. I want to talk to a lot of different people about a lot of different subjects. So as the show progresses, there's going to be a lot more people on. The celebrities, that come on the show, or people with big names will get bigger over time. But I want to put the first episode that I remember, I want to pull a clip from, is episode 42, which was my interview with Dr. Richard Spence. Now, Dr. Richard Spence, for you guys that have never seen it, you can go back and watch the episodes. I think you'd have to go on Rumble because I don't even know if they're on YouTube anymore. Because YouTube, they're getting on my nerves again. They just got done blocking me for like a week. But there was everything on YouTube. But yeah, if you want to go find the older episodes, you can either search them on here or you can go on Rumble. So if you put the episode in Eyes Open Podcast and put the episode, whatever, it should pull it up for you. But this interview with Dr. Richard Spence was very interesting. We were talking about the occult and what it takes to get into these different secret societies and stuff. But I look forward to having him back on the show. We were supposed to do an interview some months back, and I had some stuff come up, but I look forward to having him on the show again to talk about, he's got such a vast knowledge. Like I was saying, for the people that don't know who he is, he was for 40 years a professor at the University of Utah. He is a very wise historian. He has shows about history on Amazon. It's called The Great Courses. He has them on secret societies, all different types of stuff, crimes of the century. So he has some really great material on Amazon to go check out. But I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip. So this is one of my favorite moments on the show, was the interview with Dr. Richard Spence on episode 42. So we're going to go ahead and roll the clip.
You're chosen to belong. You can't just go in and join. You have no right to join. You have no right to membership. No one does. So you have to be chosen. See, that's the thing that makes you special, because you get in when other people don't.
Yep.
So, I mean, here again, an example, very simple example that a lot of people overlook, sometimes because they've been part of it. Universities, okay, where I taught for 40 years, you have fraternities and sororities. The Greek societies, those are secret societies. They fit every element. The main thing is that certain people are selected and certain people are not. You kind of audition to be a member, and sometimes you get picked. Once you do that, you go through initiations, you go through a kind of bonding experience, and you are enjoined generally to keep quiet about what goes on. You do not share what takes place in the organization.
So yeah, interviews are always my favorite thing to do on the show. But I think, if we're going to go back, because I'm pulling these episodes at random, if we're going to go back to what shaped the show into what it is now, I absolutely have to go to where I think it really took off. And that's back during the whole Charlie Kirk situation and whatnot. And one of the episodes, which is funny, I was talking about 7 year, was actually episode 7. All right. So we'll go all the way back to episode 7, where I was, in a sense, giving people an idea. This is still when people didn't know who I was. And I was giving people a little backstory about me, because I thought it was very important. If you're going to listen to people like me or listen to anybody, you need to know who you're listening to. Okay. Because a lot of these people talk about their expertise in this and their expertise in that, and it's all a facade. These people are made up characters. Okay. They're not even real. They don't live the life they tell you they live. Most of what they tell you is all made up garbage. It really is. I mean, your actors, your musicians, a lot of these people are phonies. A lot of these entertainers you watch are phonies. But in this particular episode, I was giving you guys a rundown because it was a big time when Candace Owen was talking like crazy about the whole Charlie Kirk situation. And even to this day, like I said, I hold my conviction with her to be, she's absolutely an asset, controlled opposition. But this was an interesting episode because, like I said, it was me introducing myself to you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip. So episode 7, let's check it out.
We should know who we're listening to, especially when it comes to, situations like what's currently going on. There's been a lot of chatter on not just my page, but online about, lots of stuff coming out. Candace Owens is saying she's a Mason in a
I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA
video, which for you people that aren't in construction, don't even try explaining that. I don't want to hear it from you. But I think in all fairness, like, for example, when you're watching a show like this and you got to think to yourself, why should I be listening to this person? So in all fairness, I think I forget that because this show is on Facebook and the people that are on the Facebook know me from Facebook. So they know me either personally in real life or they've been following me for a while. So they know my resume. They know who I am. But for all the new listeners, for all the new people, I think in all fairness, you have a right to know who you're listening to. Okay, so who you're listening to is a person, okay, that was homeless pretty much at 25, okay, or we'll say I was in my early 20s, 23 or so. Homeless at 23, made my first million by 30, and retired pretty much fully at 34 years old. Okay, and mind you, with no help from nobody, did it all on my own. Okay, the only help I had was from God Almighty. That's it. That's the only one that did it, was God. God. Now you could say God helped. Absolutely, God gave me everything I have. But what I'm saying is, see, because most people, they get help from shit. Okay, the people I've been around, the extremely wealthy people I've been around, they always get help. Whether it's a loan from a bank, because you got to think about this. If you get a loan from a bank, did you really do it on your own? No, because without that loan, you wouldn't have made it. If somebody gives you a job or a position somewhere, you work your way up. Did you do it on your own? No, you didn't. Because if that person didn't give you that opportunity, you wouldn't have made it to where you're at. I'm talking, I literally got it out the fucking mud. No fucking help from nobody. In a beat up piece of shit truck that I got. Okay? Nobody. Now, I would say my dad did a lot to teach me, which is very, very big. So in that sense, I did have help. I had good teachers to teach me things that I should know. Like, for example, a wise person does not speak on shit they do not know anything about. Okay? I'm not a mechanic. I don't go and tell my mechanic how to fix my car. Okay? So the person you're looking at, that you're listening to, is not somebody that's living in their fucking mom's basement running some podcast. Okay? I'm a very successful individual at a very young age. Okay? Very driven. I read a lot. Okay? And I have a very close connection with God. And I know this because through scripture, through multiple ways, he speaks to me every day. That's why I have such strong discernment to see through bullshit. Okay? Something might get me for a little bit, but when I really start to look into it and investigate it, I see it for what it is.
So while we're on the whole Candace Owens thing, this was one of the videos, what I'm going to show you now, this clip, was when I don't know if you guys remember, but I was one of the first people to do the Snake Eyes breakdown, which was talking about all the similarities between the whole Snake Eyes situation and the Charlie Kirk assassination. So I did a breakdown on that, but this was one of the videos or episodes that went viral, that really started to get the numbers to go up on the podcast. So let's go ahead and check out this. It's episode 14, and it's about the Charlie Kirk scenario. So let's check it out. Episode 12. Let's check it out.
Charlie Kirk shooting was completely, totally staged. It was told beforehand, and this is how I'm going to show you guys. Are you ready to go down this rabbit hole? Here we go. Now, go back and look at a movie that's called Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage, okay? And if you look at the poster for Snake Eyes, right here, notice the hand symbol that Nicolas Cage is making. Where have I seen that hand symbol before? And I've seen a lot of pictures of somebody throwing that up. Oh yeah, look who else is throwing that up. And look who else likes to throw it up all the time. Everybody from Trump to Andrew Tate to all your big people throw up this hand symbol. Now, what it means is it's a master hand symbol, okay? It means you're in the club.
And what's wild is, even to this day, I mean, that situation is still being talked about, which I'm surprised. And I would honestly, I'm seeing that there's going to be a lot more talking about it when you hit the 1 year anniversary of when it happened. And I plan on talking about it a little bit more when that happens. There's just been, honestly, with that whole scenario, I've just been over it, and even Candace Owens still talking about it. I heard she's still yapping about it. It's just, we've explored it for so long. I think it was like a month straight, man, if not longer, months that we were talking about it, to the point it just got exhausting. But another episode that comes to mind that I enjoyed doing was episode 16. This was about the mark, the company that was making the chip that could potentially be the mark of the beast. And this was actually a fun one I had doing like the preparation for this episode. So it's like, it's funny the, behind the scenes type of stuff that goes on before you film an episode. But we're going to go ahead and roll this. So episode 16, this is about the mark of the beast. Let's go ahead and roll it.
This is going to be the mark. And I'm telling you, you want to know the company that has not only developed the technology, but it's already available, okay, is Lucent Technologies. Lucent Technologies already has the chip, okay? If you go look into it, go look into this company, okay? They already have the chip, and if you look at that logo, look at that red logo. You know what that logo represents? That's why it's not. They made sure it wasn't a perfect circle. They made sure it almost looked like a blood smear, but they made sure it wasn't a complete perfect circle because it is supposed to resemble the snake eating its tail.
And honestly, that discussion never gets old. I could probably, if we were sitting around just shooting the shit, I could talk about that whole scenario for ages. Like, seriously, I could do a 10-part docuseries just on the mark and stuff like that. Now, what comes with the territory with doing what I do, and I faced it a lot, is a lot of people attacking you. And I remember what it was like, because people forget that when people like me start to get up there, I mean, I'm used to the hate mail. I'm used to people talking crap. It comes with the territory. By now, I'm way more than used to it. But back, I remember when this had all happened, the whole Charlie Kirk stuff and all that, there was a whole scrutiny behind the official story. And I remember people were attacking me. This is before it was trendy to talk about it. And like everybody was like, oh, there's something definitely going on. This is before all that had happened. So mind you, this next clip, this was when I was under fire big time. I was having people tell me I shouldn't be talking about it. People saying, oh, I'm unfollowing your channel. So this was a crazy time for me. And that's why I definitely wanted to bring this episode back up. This was episode 10. So it was about the Charlie Kirk comments, explaining the inconsistencies, like I was telling you about the story and whatnot. But let's check out episode 10. So this is what I call comes with the territory. Let's roll the clip.
Happen is with the energy transfer. Now, if you look into firearms, okay, into kinetic energy transfer, when a bullet comes out of a gun, there's so much force and energy behind it, it will transfer into whatever it's hitting, okay? Anybody that knows firearms knows flat out a 30-06 would have popped. If it would hit you right here, it would pop anybody's head like a balloon. It would probably rip half of your head off. It would be a really, really disgusting scene for anybody to see. And that whole tent would have been painted, period. So we've gotten that out of the way. So if it wasn't a 30-06, that's a good question to ask. What round was it? Okay. Now, the more that things come along, that there's more experts getting involved. So they're weighing in on a lot of this stuff as well. But one thing I noticed, which this could probably be written off, some people came up with some decent answers to it. Where are Charlie Kirk and Erica's parents? And they can't say, oh, well, they're hiding because of safety reasons or, whatever. Erica's a private citizen as well. Okay, somebody can take her out just as easily as they can take their parents out.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a big thing too. I'd tell people there's a lot of people, that want to get into having their own podcast and having their own show. Please understand this. If you can't deal with people talking crap to you or even death threats, all kinds of crazy stuff. If you can't deal with it, do not get into this business. Okay, because it's the freaking Wild West, man. You got to really have thick skin and not care what people say. Like, really, seriously. Now, another episode that I found interesting, because the reason I brought up this episode that we're about to show is because it's fun to watch shows that, in a sense, your opinion kind of changes a little bit about what you were talking about. Because with this one, I don't know, there's been some weird stuff about it. This one is episode 44. It was about debunking Israel being in America. so if for the people that don't know, there's the idea that Israel is actually in America, that this is the Holy Land, and ancient Babylon's here, a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I was thinking, this is crazy. There's no way, there's nothing that's to it. I couldn't find anything about it. But the more I looked into this and researched the topic, it's pretty freaking interesting because, like, for example, gopher wood, it can only be found in Florida. And that's, I guess, what the ark was made out of. There was somebody who was talking something about that. But I mean, the layouts of the maps that I've seen and stuff, it's fascinating. So I'd say, in a sense, it's good to show these episodes to where I completely thought it was completely nuts. There's no way that Israel is in America. But yeah, so this was me debunking, or thinking, in a sense, debunking all the talk that's surrounding around it. But anybody who has these types of videos about that too, please send them to me. I find that whole topic very interesting. But yeah, here, let's check out episode 44.
So this Jerusalem is in America. We are the Holy Land. It doesn't add up. Okay, there's a lot of places you can go and say, oh, look, it has this many rivers as, it did in the Bible. You could do that with a lot of places, I'm sure. Okay, if you just go and try to, you're trying to fit a square block into a round hole. Okay, and you're at the point of chiseling off the edges just to fit it through, and it doesn't fit. Okay, it just doesn't. And like I said, show me somebody, this is for anybody out there, anybody that believes this theory, show me a good documentary from somebody that has some skin in the game. That doesn't sound like they're a moron. Because every person I looked all over YouTube, scoured, tried to watch, was sitting there watching, and I'm like, everything this person's saying is just saying, now look, this is what is this, and this is what is that. How do I know? Do I have to take your word for it? Because I'm not the take your word for it type of guy. You got to bring something to the table to get me to believe what you're saying.
Yeah, so I always find that topic very interesting. But this next topic, speaking of the Holy Land, the Bible, people know that I that's another thing, man. When it comes to the Bible, when it comes to God, when it comes to spirituality, that's another thing I could talk about days on end and never get bored talking about it. So with this next one, we're going to look at episode 108, which was me talking about the 7 seals being broken. And this was a very fun episode to shoot as well and to do some research on. So let's go ahead and roll it. Episode 108.
Take this as is very interesting when you think about it. These people run off of numerology. They run off of astrology. They run off of stuff like that. This year in the Chinese zodiac is the year of the fire horse. Okay. And they even show it. It appears to be a red horse. Okay. So could this be what John was seeing? Was a fiery red horse? Would be essentially, that would be the year that this seal would happen in. Now, I mentioned that something may happen around the 4th of next month of February. Okay. The Chinese zodiac doesn't start, because we're still technically by the Chinese zodiac in the year of the snake, but the year of the fire horse starts on the 17th of February. So maybe it might be the 17th, because I pointed out the numbers that show are the debt numbers that they go based off of when economic crashes happen, stuff like that. So I want to also put this out there. I believe when seals start breaking, they're going to happen, kind of in unison, in a sense, that it's not going to be too, far apart from each other.
Now, the next episode we're going to take a look at, this goes a lot into what's going on now, because it's more evident than ever. And this was right around close to the 100 mark, was episode 96, where I was talking about a financial crash was imminent, and was talking about, there was, the phasing out of old technology and the incoming new technology that's phasing it out. So it was, again, another very interesting episode. But going back and looking at these older episodes, I remember the state of mind I was in doing these episodes. So it has a certain type of sentimental stuff to me, these different ones I'm showing you, because I remember the blood, sweat, and tears I put into these episodes. But let's go ahead and roll it. Episode 96. And old technology gets phased out and new technology just comes right in and takes over. So like we had said, that's why with Elon saying that, I don't even know how there could be atheists anymore, that sit here and think that, oh, the Bible ain't real and none of this is real. It's happening in real time. Okay. Everything the Bible told you is coming true. Okay. And only the people who haven't read it would not know that, because from Elon saying you're going to have a chip that's going to transmit all information. Think about it. They told you can't buy or sell. Bible says you won't be able to buy or sell without that mark. And from the quantum dot technology that Bill Gates has to what Elon has, we're getting in a super information age. Again, it's very interesting just watching how, where my head is at now versus even 100 episodes ago. And it's crazy because, when you're reaching near 40, you're like, I'm not going to change my mind about stuff. I'm set in my ways. Things aren't going to change, but they do. And it's wild to see the difference a year makes in where I'm at mentally, where I'm at, on how I see different things. It's wild to see the difference just 365 days makes. And I don't even think it was even a year ago when that episode was filmed. But another episode I want to pull up that comes to mind that I can think about is episode 34. Now, I definitely remember my state of mind with this one because this was about the spy balloons. And you guys all remember the spy balloon? So this is when that whole event happened. And, I still believe, like I talked about in the episode, it was reconnaissance, that something, it's a precursor to something way bigger. It was definitely a data collection, or, sometimes it could be a psyop to see how the American people react to this type of thing happening. But let's go ahead and roll episode 34, the spy balloon episode. Check it out. Like that, you're going to send in a recon team. You either send in a recon team or, like in this instance, a recon balloon to do all the surveillance of any, places you're going to essentially hit. Okay. And then you're going to take that information that you collected. And then the next thing you're going to see. So essentially, tactically, anybody that knows. If you know, you know. That's my favorite saying. That's why I say, instead of explaining a lot of stuff to people, sometimes you just got to say, hey, if you know, you know. But pretty much, it's like, for example, one guy going into, a place where there's a bunch of people they're going to take out. The one person will go in, look around, take down a bunch of mental notes, jot some stuff down, and then they'll go and tell their whole crew of people, hey, this is the weaknesses, this is that. Here's all the pictures, here's all the information. Then what'll happen next when they go to take these people out, that's when, the whole invasion starts. Now, this next episode I want to show you guys, it's, number 10, last but definitely not least. But this is another one that was very controversial when everybody was talking about, when I was talking about Trump being the Antichrist. But I remember with this episode, I was saying, what if I'm wrong? What if it's not Trump and it's actually Kushner? Because based on the peace deals and a lot of stuff that was going on. But this was actually an interesting episode to shoot. It was also one that was multi-camera too. I want to get back to I'm gonna be probably doing double angles again on the show, so it'd be fun to bring that back. That's when I was having a good production team behind me and stuff. So I hope to get back to that. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring back the multi-angled show because it was fun to do. It wasn't hard to edit those episodes, but let's check it out. Episode 26. Jared Kushner holds no position in government at all. Okay, that's who Trump's daughter's married to. He is born of Assyrian descent right there by Turkey. Okay, he is born of Assyrian descent. Okay,
So, what if Jared Kushner's the Antichrist? What if Trump offered his daughter off to the Antichrist? What if Trump is the dragon that they speak about in the Bible? What does it say in the Bible? The dragon, okay, will give power to the Antichrist to rule. So what if Trump garners this peace deal? Let's what the news I've seen has said Jared Kushner is whole centered around this deal. So what if that happens? It might happen, and that'll be wild. So I'll tell you right now, it's either I think it's both of them, but it's either one or the other. It's either Jared Kushner or it is Trump.
Well, I can tell you guys, you know, we're 200 episodes in, and I would have thought that, you know, it would have wore on me a little bit more, and the burnout was real there for a while. I'll be honest with you. When you kind of are getting your footing and you're seeing where you're at with a platform, it can get exhausting. You can deal with burnout. You deal with a lot of different things, but I feel more raring to go than I ever have. So I'm happy that we got to the 200 episode. And back when I was first doing it, for the people that have been here for the whole long haul, they know that I was talking about a lot of times, like, you know what? I'm not doing the show no more. I'm done. I'm sick of forking me. I'm done. I'm not doing it no more. I'm done dealing with all of these people running their mouth. It's not worth it. I don't need the money. I don't need to put up with this, so I'm not doing it. But along the way, I realized it wasn't, you know, it's always about the fans, but above everything, this is about God when it comes down to it. It really is, because God has never put me in a position in my life or put me anywhere, even if it was for something, you know, not so good to happen in my life. If it's not a lesson, then it's the path I'm supposed to be on. He very distinctly puts me on certain paths for a reason. I know it and I've witnessed it, and I 100% believe it. So by episode 200, I know this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm absolutely supposed to be right here with you guys right now. And, you know, getting close to 250,000 followers and everything that's transpired up until now. I honestly, I'll be completely honest with you guys. I didn't know much about getting into the 6-figure range with followers. You know, now I see how it works, and I see how, you know, 1,000,000 followers is not that far away. If, you know, you just stay, to me, in my opinion, stay true to yourself, be who you are. Because, you know, you don't have to put on a facade for anybody. If people really care about you, they will like you for you. Authenticity is better than anything. I'd rather somebody just be who they are, and I would accept you better than that than be some phony character that you're not. So like they say, it's better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not. But what got me along this far is, like I said, purpose, knowing that there's a purpose for me to be where I'm at right now and talking to you guys. But 200 episodes in, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for the long haul, and I hope you guys are going to be too.